This is reading lesson number 10. This video is for you if you struggle with reading. I am April McMurtry, a reading specialist, dyslexia specialist, and the developer of the LRn&x program, and I'm teaching you how to read in 100 videos. It is important that you start with lesson 1. I have that video linked for you in the description below, and I will be building upon each lesson, so it's important to watch them in order and begin with lesson 1. Here's how these lessons will work. Lessons 1 through 10 are taken from my begin reading packet, which is next to the number 1 in the description. Lessons 11 through 90 are taken from my Learn Reading program, which is next to the number 2. And lessons 91 through 100 are taken from my adult reading class, which is next to the number 3 in the description below. If you do not purchase the worksheets to follow along with me, that is perfectly fine. I would love to teach you right here for free, but you will need a piece of paper and a pencil. So pause the video and grab that if you don't have it ready, and come right back. I will have 2 videos for you each week. You are free to follow along with me here for free, or you can join me in my adult reading class at any time, especially if these lessons seem a little easy for you. There I can help you a little more personally. And again, that link to the live adult class is next to the number 3 below. And if you want an online tutor, I have those recommendations for you also in the description. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so today's lesson 10 is going to be a combination of lessons. It's going to be lesson 10 from my begin reading packet, and it's also going to be lesson 10 from my Learn Reading program. I'm going to combine them to transition you from one program to the other. So this first part is going to be taken from the begin reading packet lesson 10, which is what you've been working on so far. And you'll notice that it's different. In this unit, you have several, almost 100, I believe, decodable words using only the graphemes that we have learned to this point. And so you can print this out, or you can maybe take a screenshot of it and practice reading these words. This is really important that you use your pencil reading skill that I have taught you, the sounds that I have taught you, and pencil read every single one of these words. And then I would circle the ones that were difficult. Write those down on a piece of paper or a piece of a card, like an index card. And then practice those until they become easier. Keep sorting your pile from easiest to hardest. Go ahead and put the easiest ones in one pile, and if you struggle with them just a little bit, keep those in a separate pile, and then work on the hard pile. And then when those get a little easier, put those words that are now a little easier for you back into the easy pile, so that your hard pile will get smaller and smaller and smaller. Even when you have 2 or 3 left, you're just going to practice those over and over until those are now all in the easy pile. Then take your easy pile and just keep practicing reading, and then you will be ready to jump into lesson 10 in the Learn Reading program, which is where we're going to go right now. Okay, so if you want to get these worksheets now, from now on, from lesson now into lesson 89, I believe, lesson 90, we are going to be using all of these worksheets, which are taken directly from the Learn Reading program, which is next to the number 2 in the description below if you want to print these worksheets. These lessons are a lot more extensive. We're only going to be working on one page of these together. But if you have these and you want to work on it on your own, your new sight word is R, as in, are you coming? A-R-E. So you can work on your new sight words on this page on your own. Your new grapheme for this lesson is the grapheme E-R. E-R is, it makes one sound. It only says Let me say that better. It only says You might not have noticed the difference in those sounds, but it's subtle. And ER, the sound, usually comes at the end of words, as in teacher, mother, father, painter. It can be used as a suffix to describe someone or something that does something, as in a painter paints or a builder builds. So it can be used as a suffix, but it's also often just inserted into the middle or end of words. And it says simply so the E is kind of silent. You're only hearing that R sound. And so if you have these worksheets, I want you to practice the correct sounds of all of these graphemes and then meet me. Oh, this is also an amazing page. If you have these worksheets, I I can't strongly emphasize enough how much improvement you will make if you work on this page. So what you're going to do here is, for instance, this word is teacher. You're going to separate each sound in teacher. First, you'll stretch it out. Teacher. Then you will identify each sound as its separate unit. T, E, ch, Then you're going to find the sound, which is our new grapheme, and you'll mark where you'll hear that. For instance, this one is mother, so you'll do the same thing. Stretch it out. Mother. Separate the sounds. Make sure you have a nice, clean break in between each of those sounds. Really important, so that you isolate each one from the next. So the sounds are th, Here's the sound, so that's the sound that you're going to mark. It might seem simple, but it's not easy. It is difficult for everybody who struggles with reading to do this page. If you need help, ask for help, because it's important that you understand how to do this page. Okay, then I want you to meet me over here on page 5. This is our new pencil reading word for lesson 10. So I'm going to do the first one for you. Okay, so we know that this I is going to say I because the next two letters are consonants. Here's our new grapheme that says When we pencil read this word, we have s, I, s, t, When you combine the sounds, we have sister, sister, sister. Okay, I'll be quiet while you do the rest of these on your own. So we have an I and an When you separate the sounds, we have d, I, n, When you combine the sounds, we have dinner, dinner, dinner. Now, if you're wondering what these little dots are, numbers are here underneath these words, and there was some in your sight word page also, let me show you what those are for. So, like for instance, sister has the number 2 under it. You're going to go down to your sentences page in sentence number 2, and you'll find the word sister and you'll underline it. That way, when you come to this page, you're going to have a whole bunch of underlined words. That's going to tell your brain that you already have read these words. And so sometimes when you see a lot of words on a page, it becomes a little, maybe subconsciously intimidating, and your mind might want to freeze a little bit. But if it sees that all of these sight words you've already read, you're going to circle all your sight words, you're going to underline your new words, and you're going to see here in a minute, we're going to box our vocabulary words. Then by the time you come here to the sentences page, you're going to see that you have already read all of these words, and it will just alleviate the stress of seeing a bunch of words on a page. Your brain will go, oh, I already know all of these words, so it will read it a lot more easily. Okay, so back up to our new words page. Let's go to the next one here. We have, I'll be quiet while you work. So the sounds are t, e, n, d, tender, tender, tender. Next one. So the next one is, we know the A says A because the next two letters are consonants. ER says So we have s, k, a, t, scatter, scatter, scatter. Sometimes when you say T's fast, it can turn into more of a stop sound rather than a spit sound. So T, especially at the end, it will say T, like pat, rest, sit. But when it's in the middle, sometimes it can, that spit, that T, can turn into just a stop. And it sounds a little bit like a D. Like that last one, like, was it sitter? It sounds less like sitter and more like sitter when you say it fast, and that's okay. That happens naturally. Oh, scatter. So we don't usually say scatter, we say scatter. So the T turns into more of a stop sound. Okay, so these last four, if you have the worksheets, these are your extra practice, and we're going to go over these. I'll go over these with you next time in our next lesson to make sure that you said these words correctly. If you don't have these, go ahead and pause the video, write them down, and practice them on your own. The vocabulary words are also yours. You are free to read these as well and discover their meaning. I like to, after you have read it, for instance, if you didn't know what the word slender meant, I would ask Siri, Alexa, Google what it means and say, define slender. That forces you to articulate the sounds in the word really carefully so that the technology knows the word that you want to know the definition of. So when you read it, you make sure that you're saying it correctly, and then you articulate it into the technology to learn the definition. These are 2 pairs of word cards that you are free to cut out and practice fluency. Here is your sentences page where you can practice reading in context. The fun is just beginning, my friends. I will see you in the next lesson.